Hey YouTube, it's going to be a response to Gene Lonergan with his video on the emergency lighting. I've been thinking about this a lot too, and I've been thinking about kerosene lanterns, and I've been sort of collecting flashlights and everyday carrying flashlights for a long time. So I think I watched your video again, Gene, and I think maybe you have a different LED Maglite than I do. I think this one right here is like really one of the first ones they came out with, so it's quite possible that the one you have is brighter. This I'm pretty sure is exactly the same thing. One thing I noticed about mine as opposed to yours is that this has a tail cap that's just like a mini version. I don't know if we can see this here. Well, let me pick it up. It's like a mini version of just a regular Maglite cap. Gee whiz, it does not want to focus on that. Stealth technology. There we are. So yeah, so yours seems to have this sort of cap that has a lanyard hole in it, which honestly, when I got this, I was, a few years ago, I was kind of disappointed that I couldn't fathom why they would go away from having a lanyard hole to have a feature and then to not have it. But I'm seeing similar sort of brightness here. I don't know exactly what lumens this. See, when I bought this, the Maglite wasn't advertising lumens. Boy, this one's tight. Okay, I'll put this one down here. And then right here is the E21. So you see the E21's a little bit brighter. But, I think I paid, somewhere in the range of about $30 for this when I bought this one when it was new. So it seems like $20 would be a really interesting kind of a price point. You see there is a brightness difference here, but it's not huge. And the E21, when I purchased it 2 years ago, was about $35. Since then, it's been replaced by the E25, and I've read kind of mixed reviews. I was going to get one of those in, and I'll let you know what I think of that. They changed the construction quite a bit. The thing I like about this is similar to these two in that it's simple. A lot of these fancy flashlights have all kinds of modes, strobe mode, SOS mode, all kinds of stuff that I just don't want. I want a flashlight that's bright and reliable, basically. And like I said, I've been carrying this just about every day since 2011, and it's still in pretty decent shape. I have a couple more of them, and I was really actually disappointed when I was looking for a link to show you. There's a couple places that have them, but for some reason they're pretty expensive. And there are a couple people who are rating the new one as not being as good as this one. They added a feature. This has a two-stage kind of brightness, but I just leave it on the brightest setting all the time because it uses AA's. One of the things you run into with these tactical lights is if they're running the CR123As, those are very expensive. So, it kind of behooves you to use the lower setting, unless you absolutely need the high beam, okay? But this one, when I bought it, I could swear it was in the 150 lumen range, but the ones I've seen advertised are 170 lumens, and it's kind of confusing because the one that you have, it says 200 some lumens, so it might very well be a newer version, a newer, brighter version of this. For what reason, one reason or another, Maglite kind of missed the boat, when all these imported flashlights started coming in, with really high performance, and they were still, selling the old standby, which, I used these ones for years, when I was in scouts and stuff like that, and I, never felt wanting for them, and it was true that when I got this one, it was like a huge performance difference, but this one here has a couple of interesting features. Actually, these ones, I was looking for something to give the groomsmen in my wedding, and this was a good one. It's just about the same size, maybe a little bit shorter than the newer Maglite, which I bet you that the body of yours is very similar. Whether they changed the electronics and the LED, you know, could very well be. But I bet you that the actual light itself, the body, is probably very similar to yours, minus the tail cap. Okay. Some of the interesting features on this, it's got a tail cap click switch, okay, which I really like a lot. And one of the reasons that people don't like those click switches is that, you know, if it's in your bag, it can get clicked and then it'll be on. This one has a lockout tail switch, which means I mean, this is the compartment you would open to put the batteries in. And what you can do is just carry it slightly loosened, and it's got enough threading on there that there's no danger of it falling off, but clicking the button will not activate the light. So then you could tighten it down and then ready to go. And that gives you the ability to do like momentary, which is kind of cool, you know, if you're just kind of flashing, looking at something really quick. So there's that. It has a glass lens, which at first I was worried about, but it's a hardened glass lens with actually, you might even be able to see, there's almost sort of a little reflection on there, kind of a purpley hue. It's actually got multi-coating on it like a camera lens does, you know. So there's some definite thought put into this. It's an LED there. You can kind of see in there how the parabolic lens kind of magnifies that LED down at the bottom. You know, which is the same way that these work basically too. That's one of the reasons that you have that change on here to the longer kind of head, is that parabolic mirror in there. You see that it just magnifies the heck out of that LED, which it's easier to do than a bulb. That you know, this is a very tiny little incandescent bulb, but it's still much larger than the LED. So it's more difficult, I guess, probably to focus that. Yeah, this Maglite has a kind of a little bit of a focusing beam on it. Yeah, it focuses a little bit. The Phoenix here does not focus. I've wondered why, you know, Maglite didn't really kind of jump headfirst into that whole trend. And I think that I've noticed that some of these ones, and I think Phoenix is a pretty high quality brand. You know, those ones that you were having issues with, the 9 LED ones, pretty inexpensive ones. You know, probably made by the lowest bidder in China. These are also made in China or Hong Kong or what have you. But these are kind of a more high end light. You know, this is designed to compete with something like a Surefire, you know, made in USA model. But I mean, those ones are fabulously expensive. I have one upstairs that I basically quit carrying when I got this because it uses the 2CR123s, you know, and that's very expensive, you know. And they actually make rechargeable versions that replace the 2CR123s called, I think they're 18650s. You know, you could buy that. It's a special battery, rechargeable battery, and a special recharger. You know, and I'm a photographer, so I have lots of AA's rattling around. And as you see, I've been using these Rayovacs just like you for quite a while. And what I actually done, I've got two, you know, they come in 4-packs. So I've got 2 that are inside the light and 2 that sit on the charger. And every Monday I swap them out. Or if I use it a lot, I might do it faster, you know, because it only takes about a day for them to charge. And then you just basically sit on charge for the rest of the week. Okay, so that's cool. And I put on one of them, of each set, I have sort of an address contact label that I put on my photo gear. This is good. I imagine if I lose this, I got a 50-50 chance that the person who finds it, you know, might say, ooh, finders keepers, or they may find this when they go to change the batteries and say, oh, and give me a call. And that's nice. You see on this one, I try to put the sticker on here, and I don't know, it kind of detracts from it, I think, a little bit. But, you know, anyone who finds a flashlight on the ground eventually is going to change the batteries, and then they'll see the address on there. And because they're rechargeables, I don't have to be putting a new sticker on each set of batteries. If I was using alkaline batteries, it'd be kind of a waste of stickers. What else? Oh, I have here to show you something else. I have these are the nylon pouches like you had, you know, that came with a lot of these. Okay, And one of the ones that I used to carry, when I used to carry this religiously every day, they made these, this is a Maglite brand pouch. It's a little bit nicer, I guess. It's a Cordura type nylon, a finer weave nylon. Still pretty heavy duty, and it actually encases the light. And then it's got on the back, it's got an adjustable Velcro belt flap. You know, and I mean, I've used different ones. I think my most favorite one was a leather one that I had, but the belt loop ripped out on it. I never really used these. If I was going to carry one of these small ones, it would be in my pocket or in a kit. And this one, of course, well, this one doesn't fit into there because it's too tall. Then the flap doesn't flap over enough. So I just started carrying this in my pocket. So there really wasn't a transition when I moved up to this. I'll tell you what though, I have noticed that this edge around here, it's not sharpened or anything, but when I keep it in my back pants pocket, it tends to wear a hole. So I've started carrying it the opposite way because this side is a little bit smoother. So yeah, as far as other options, you know, for disaster lighting, you know, one of the things that I did just recently in the last couple months is I purchased several of these Dietz Air Pilot lanterns. We have a local hardware store that sells these, and I bought one from them and it was like $30, and then I found some sites online where I could get them for substantially less. So I have a total of 4 of these now, these Air Pilot kerosene lanterns. And, you know, they're made in China. You know, they used to be made in Syracuse, I guess. But it seems to be fairly decent quality, the best quality I've ever seen in a hurricane lantern. I have a few, you know, just Walmart grade type ones, and this is quite a bit nicer in terms of fit and finish. I also picked up some extra globes, some extra wick, even some extra fuel caps, you know, because that's the sort of thing can get lost. Yeah, so I'm pretty pleased with those. I've test burned this one a little bit. The other ones I haven't really burned too much. And then over here, this is a Coleman pressure lamp, probably similar to the kerosene ones that you're talking about. This is a very, you know, ubiquitous model. Walmart carried this for a while. They might still. I actually have 3 other lamps or lanterns that are very similar to this, the same kind of tank style, globe style, and top that I got on eBay. You know, well, 2 of them I got on eBay. One of them I got at a yard sale. It was missing the globe and missing the mantles, and the guy was selling it as if it was broken, you know. And it's just a matter of going down to Walmart and buying a globe and a couple mantles, and I was just kind of hooked on them. And I went on eBay and looked around, and I was going to buy another one, end up buying 2. You know how that happens. And then, yeah, so this is great. I don't think I would use this indoors, though. Just knowing what goes with Coleman fuel, it can be kind of hazardous, and you can kind of get fumes off it. But around camp or outdoors, it works great. You know, and I got it together with all 4 of the ones I have. I purchased these hard plastic cases for. So when they're in storage, they're pretty well protected. Ample supply of mantles. And I've got a few gallons of Coleman fuel put by. So, yeah, these are basically my kind of thoughts along the same lines as yours, I guess. You know, and it's just been the last couple of months. So when I saw your video, I was kind of a little bit tickled by that. You know, that we're thinking the same thing. You know, it just as soon as I bought a few of these, you know, 4 of these, I managed to find them for I think $16. So I managed to get all 4, you know, and some extras and stuff like that for less than $150, I think, you know, once I got, you know, all the shipping and everything like that added in. I got some extras. Like I said, I got globes and other things. It was probably closer to $100. But I was watching the Main Prepper channel, and he did a video on Tilly lamps. And I didn't even know they existed until he did a video on them. And if you've never heard of, I mean, you might have heard of Tilly lamps, I don't know, but if you've never heard of them, that's something that I'm really looking hard at going forward. it's a kerosene lamp, but it's a non-pressurized mantle kerosene lamp. So all the advantages of your mantle without all the fiddly bits, you know, associated with a pressure lamp. You know, essentially it's as dead simple as this, but with the light of this. You know, and it burns kerosene. So what's really not to love, you know? I mean, they're expensive, you know. So it looks like a complete one of those would probably be about $150 to $180, depending on what configuration you get. And then the mantles for those are expensive. These mantles here are dirt cheap, you know, a couple bucks for 4 of them at Walmart. And a mantle that goes on a Tilly lamp, you know, is like $12 for one. You know, it's essentially the same thing, the same idea, but it comes on a wire frame. So I wonder, an interesting thing to do would be to see if you could adapt these to that application, because mantles are pretty ubiquitous in the way they work, I guess. And the only other thing I would add is I've been looking around online, because Coleman actually manufactured a kerosene one mantle version of this. It's basically the same body, but it had a different generator tube, and it had a little preheater cup that you could put alcohol in. And evidently, it's possible to take one of these, and if you can get your hands on those Coleman parts, to basically easily retrofit this so that it burns kerosene. That would be an interesting thing, because, you know, you never see the kerosene versions of this on eBay. Rarely see some older versions, but not the 214 version. And I believe it's been discontinued. So being able to convert this to kerosene and have a 2-mantle version, I think would be excellent. And so if I go forward with that plan, I'll let you know too how that runs. Because that I would probably use indoors. Kerosene, you know, while it's not perfectly safe, is definitely less hazardous to use indoors, in my opinion, than Coleman fuel is. Coleman fuel can get out of hand pretty quick. So, yeah, just generally some thoughts. Cheers.